Baby teeth. I've read through this book twice and it doesn't say a thing about removing baby teeth. What good are you? Hey there, and welcome back to the channel. Today it's over 50 degrees and tomorrow I think it's gonna snow again. So today we're working on the Miata. So today we're removing the Miata's baby teeth. Now what I mean by baby teeth, it's a common term used for the tie downs that come with the Miata. I'll show you what I'm talking about. These are the baby teeth. There's two in the front and there's also in the back here. Now I know you've seen these things right here and another one over there. So you're asking, why would you want to remove the baby teeth? Well, because first of all, they're very heavy for what they are. And secondly, I want to replace them with racing tow hooks. These are the racing tow hooks I'm going to be installing today. This one is for the front of the car and this one is the back of the car. And they are going to be replacing the baby teeth right here. If you look at the size of the hole right there, this is where a tow truck operator would connect a hook or a tow strap. And I've seen in some instances the tow straps were too big to even fit in there. And sometimes the hooks don't fit as well. If your tow truck operator has a smaller hook, then it shouldn't be a problem. These are much bigger. If you want to compare. So the way I'm looking at this is you would need these anyways if you plan on tracking your car. I think it's a requirement so they can pull you out of ditches when you need to get pulled out. I'm looking at it kind of in the same way, but I don't really plan on tracking the car as much as I do driving it in wintertime when I could slide into a ditch and I probably need to get pulled out. So I'm going to put one on the front, one on the back. And I think they look nicer. They stick out a little bit further than these, because that's another problem that you can see is if let's say you get thrown into a ditch and a tow truck needs to pull you out and he's putting his hooks in, because it's further back in there, that chain can be rubbing up against your bumper and crack it or, you know, scratch the paint. These other tow hooks stick out a little bit further so you can just click on them and pull you out. Alright, so I've got the car jacked up, and if you look underneath here, these are the bolts. There's three of them, 1, 2, and then one hidden back there. Now, I may try to see if I can remove all of these without taking any of this shrouding off. Maybe I can reach that third bolt hiding back there from the front. I'm going to try it, see what I can do here. Here's from the front. That third bolt is going to be back in here. Maybe if I can reach around here with a box wrench, maybe. Just trying to come up with the easiest way of doing this. Let's see. Looks like the other side is the same. All right, let me give this a shot. Looks like these are 14 millimeters. Okay, there's the first one. Okay, second bolt is out. Now to reach this third one hiding back behind here, I may, let's see, I may be able to reach it from the front, so I'll give that a try. Let's see if I can reach this with the box wrench first. So the third one was a little difficult to loosen up, but I sprayed some penetrating oil on it and it seems to be loosening up now, and I'm able to reach it from the front. If I go in this way, put your left hand up through the back side, you'll find the bolt. And because I don't have a ratcheting wrench here, this takes a little bit longer, but it's coming off pretty easy now. Okay, it's finger loose now. There we go. So to take it out, it's easier to go out through the back. And there we are. So here's the difference between the two. And let me tell you that this thing is, it may be heavier. This is pretty heavy though. But this feels like it's a little bit heavier. So what I'm probably going to do is remove the other baby tooth over here on that side for weight reduction, and just bolt this guy in and have him in there as my tow hook if I ever need to get towed or pulled up onto a flatbed. We're just going to reuse the same bolts that came from the factory, and there's only 3, even though there's 4 holes. Even on the original there's 4 holes, only 3 of them are being used. And you may be asking yourself, why are these here in the first place? Aren't they meant to be used for something? Yes, they are. And these are common on a lot of vehicles that are imported from Japan and overseas, because what they do is they use these as tie downs. And when they put them on the boat to export them over here to the US, they tie these down to the floor of the ship. So when they, go up waves and have bad weather or whatever, these cars aren't rocking and sliding around, possibly damaging themselves. So they tie them down so they're secure. And that's really what they're meant for. They're not meant to be towed with. They're not meant to pull the whole weight of the car out of a ditch with these. They're really not big enough to get a proper hook on these to pull them out anyways. If you've already removed your baby teeth, or maybe you bought the car without them and you get thrown into a ditch and you need to be pulled out, you can still wrap a tow strap around your lower control arm and pull you out. It's not ideal, but in a pinch it'll get you by. So I'm going to start with the more difficult one first, so I can put it in through here. So that gives you an idea of how far it's going to stick out. Here's the other 2 holes here. Let me see if I can put these in finger tight first. So here it is, the new tow hook. You could probably jack the car up with this thing now. I wouldn't recommend it, but I think the silver looks cool on it. This one, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove that and then put the same bolts back in its place and just hold on to that if I ever need it in the future or whatnot. But yeah, I'm just going to take that off real quick. Alright, I've got both of the front baby teeth out, and this is what the car looks like now. Clean over here, and tow hook over here. Now to do the back. Alright, so I've jacked up the rear of the car, and I'm going to put the tow hook on this side, on the driver's side, just to discourage the tow operator to try to connect it over by the exhaust where it might, you know, mess up the exhaust if the tow chain or strap gets tangled or bent over that way, rather than use this side here. So I'm going to do this one. Looks like there may be 4 or 5 bolts holding this one in. I'm not sure. I'll have to look. And I may or may not leave that one on. We'll see how easy of a job this one is first. So if I go underneath, this is the factory tie down. Looks like there's a bolt here, bolt up there. Actually a bolt on the sides, one up there and one right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts maybe. All right, let's see what we can do with this. All right, so this is crazy. These 2 bolts on the side are 14 millimeters, which is the same as the front baby teeth that I just removed. So that's 14 millimeters, but these 2 are 12 millimeters. I don't know why they don't just do the same size for the whole component. It's crazy. Now I'm going to switch to the 12 millimeter. Alright, be aware that when you're taking this off, these 12 millimeters are actually bolts and the 14 millimeters are nuts. So there's bolts that are into the frame of the car here, then you're just going to slide it off this way and now. And there you go. This is actually really an easy job. And this is heavy too. A lot heavier than the new racing one that I'm going to be installing. So to compare, here's the factory one, here's the racing one. So let's see how this works here. Okay, change of plans. I removed both, and the reason is because the new one will not fit on the left side. It will only fit on the right side. So I'm gonna have to put it over here by the exhaust. Wasn't ideal for me, but looks like it'll work definitely. And I do like there is a boxed in area here that will protect the muffler, but yeah, rip. So this is basically how it lines up. You're just going to use these two bolts right here, and that's it. That's all that's going to hold it on. The side ones aren't going to be used for this one, but I'm still going to put the bolts back on it just to save. But that's how it is. It's going to be hanging a little bit lower than the original, as you can see, and you can see also how big the toe hole, the hook hole is. So see how heavy this is. Yeah, this is a little bit heavier. These things are like 5 pounds. I mean, they're heavy. So by taking all of these off, if you were to just remove just all the baby teeth from the front and back, you're probably having a weight reduction of close to 18 to 20 pounds. I'm adding this back on, and this is a good maybe 4 pounds, 3.5 pounds, something like that. It's a sturdy piece of metal here. This is just a little bit heavier. Alright, so this is the new tow hook. And I'm not using the side ones like the original one, so I'm just going to put the bolts back on them, and those can be saved for later. But yeah, this is the new hook, and I'll show you from the outside. Just hangs down just low enough to get a tow hook on there, or a strap. It's not obnoxious like the kind that you see that stick out. You know, they're okay, they do their job, but they're, dare I say, ricey. All right, there are all the baby teeth that we pulled today, and here's the finished product. Go around to the back. Can't really see it, it doesn't stand out. So it's functional, but it's not too showy like some of those that stick out from the rear bumper. This one looks pretty cool though. It does stick out a little bit further than the factory baby teeth. And of course this side I removed. So I've got my tow hooks both on the passenger side, the front and rear, on the same side of the car. And that was it. So this was actually a lot easier than I anticipated, because going into it when I was doing my research, I saw a lot of people removing that splash guard underneath just to get to those bolts, and that's a lot of extra work. I didn't have to do that though. Mine's a 97, so I don't know if things changed as far as the underneath area, the splash guard, but I didn't have to remove anything to access mine. The two underneath were pretty easy to do. The one through the front though was a little bit of a challenge. I did spray some penetrating oil to help loosen that up, and after that it came off pretty easily. Now I will say that the job would be a lot easier if you had a ratcheting wrench, so you wouldn't have to keep taking it off the nut and then redoing it like that. Just a ratcheting wrench to just get it off, and it'd be a super easy job. The rear was even easier because all the bolts were accessible. You will need a 14 millimeter for both the fronts, and you'll need a 14 millimeter for the rear and a 12 millimeter for the rear. The only complaint I had was that the tow hooks that I got were only for the other side, the passenger side, on the left. I kind of wanted the rear one on the right just to keep it away from the muffler, but oh well. It's going to do its job. Hopefully I never have to use them, but they're there if I do get, you know, knocked into a ditch or slide on ice, go off the road. Anything can happen here, so that's why I've got them. And besides, got some weight reduction by removing the old baby teeth, and I think it looks cool. So this is just one of many mods that I had saved up in a box for warmer weather, and now that it is getting a little bit nicer out, it's time to start putting them on the car. So if you want to see more of these, you're going to have to subscribe. If you like what I did, hit the like button. If you don't like what I did, hit the like button. And as always, weather permitting, drive with the top down and the lights up, because Miata. So just a brief update on the window trim. It lasted me for a while until it got super cold and snowy and rainy, and moisture got in there and loosened up the anchor. So what I'm going to do is put some more heavy duty, got some more heavy duty tape here. This is the mounting tape that they use for like body kits and things. It's super strong. So I'm going to cut some up and put them on the anchor just to keep the anchor in there. And then for a safe measure, I'm going to go ahead and put the sealant along here too, because it's an adhesive and it'll help hold this in place, and it's weatherproof, and that moisture won't cause it to come back up again. And truth be told, this is really what you're supposed to be using anyways. The guys that do this professionally, when they're putting the new glass in, they've got that adhesive that goes all inside there. It's like a caulk that goes under the glass, and it squirts out to the sides a little bit when they push it down, and some of that adhesive is what really holds this molding in really well. But I didn't have that, and I wasn't replacing the glass, so that's why I did what I did. But this is the update. Just also be aware that one side might be looser than the other. The gap may be wider, and that was the case with this side. The other side I had no problems with it peeling up or coming up at all, but this side it started coming up, and I saw it flapping in the wind when I was driving down the interstate, and I just rolled down the window and grabbed it and pushed it back in and went home. But that's not a good solution, so we'll go ahead and tape it up and put the sealant in, and then it should be good to go. Alright, so I have the trim piece back on. Had no problems again with this other side. It sits flush and it's in there really tight. I really didn't even need to use an anchor in there, but I'd still put some of the sealant in there just to you know, be double sure that it's going to stay put. This corner is really good. It's in there real snug. The other side though, it wants to push up a little bit. So I put an extra amount of the sealant in there, and I'm just taping it down to hold it in place while that cures. But I think this is going to do the job.